Hello, 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 and welcome to the movement. Thank you for stopping by. We are the movement. We're a motivational organization here to educate minds, empower, nurture, and transform. And as we so affectionately say every single week, we are a movement to move. Yes, we are. And this is our next neck roll. We are a movement to move. We want to help you thrust into your purpose so that you can start living the best version of yourself and win. We have tapped into some winners information, some winners resources sitting at the winners table, and we invite you to take a seat because we want to see you win. Right, Annette?
That is so right, Anita. And I love when you say take a seat, because when I sit at the dinner table, I'm expecting to get a meal. So prepare yourself. We have something for you tonight. And thank you again for coming and sharing with us.
Yes, yes. And we are super excited as always. And we want to dive right into what we're going to talk about tonight. Our topic, make great things happen. We live in a faithless culture. You know, it's weird to think of it that way, but we do. We live in a society where most of the people we encounter don't understand the power of faith. You know, it's a show me kind of culture. Everything is cut and dry. And it's like, if I don't see it, it's not going to happen. If I do this and this and this is supposed to happen. And karma this and the universe that. We have all kinds of things that people exercise as opposed to just good old faith. There's very little respect for life lessons. There are very few Ruth and Naomi situations. You notice that, Annette? We don't see that Ruth and Naomi thing. Ruth knew what she wanted, and Naomi had the wisdom to pour into her and to tell her how to get exactly what she wanted. And a lot of us are just not teachable, and we don't have those Naomis who are going to who are going to help guide us. We don't have that whole Ruth and Naomi thing going on so that we can have somebody to look up to, that mentorship. And a lot of the older saints are not pouring into these younger saints because they're not even receptive and they're not teachable. Some of us really don't even know what we want, let alone for somebody to teach us, nor do we really know if what we want is what God wants us to have anyway.
That's right.
There are a lot of us, you know, here who just want to see things happen. You know, it's like we kind of know what we want, but we don't really know. But the one thing we do know is we want to see something happen. We want to see things move. We want to see the fruits of our labor. We're tired of trying to do the same thing and barking up the same tree and nothing's happening. We're tired of staying in the same place or seeming to move 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. We want to see what we've been praying for and believing God for. There are some who are more successful than others. And then we don't, you know, a lot of us don't understand why, but there are many reasons why there are other people who are more successful because, and it's not necessarily something that you haven't done. It's just because either it's not your time yet or, you know, it could be disobedience and procrastination. It could be fear. And it could be that it's just not for you. But that's why you have to be sure. And so for a lot of us, we end up in a place of bitterness, and we're bitter because we haven't seen the magic happen yet.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I often say to myself, even though I know what I want, I know what God says I'm supposed to have. I know what my vision and dreams say. I know what the Bible says. I know what it looks like, what it's supposed to look like, and what it's supposed to seem like. But I just want to see productivity. There's nothing like having a tree. I remember when I was growing up in Daytona, we had my parents had a gazillion fruit trees in the backyard, but we had this one tree up front, and my mom used to always say, "That's a mango tree." But the mango tree never bore fruit. Wow. It never bore fruit. We had navel oranges and grapefruits and figs and cherries and guavas and limes and plums and all kinds of stuff in the backyard. Great. We even had a grapevine. We had all kinds of stuff. But that one tree up front, and I can remember that tree, I have a visual, and it was big. And it sat on, if I was facing the house, it sat on the left side. It was a tall tree and it was beautiful, but the tree never bore fruit. And there's nothing like having something right before everybody's eyes, but it never seems to bear fruit. Why do you have that big old church, but there's nobody in it? Why do you have this beautiful organization and all of the pretty flyers and all the equipment, but ain't nobody calling? Why do you have all of this stuff? Why do you have this beautiful record and nobody's listening? Why do you have all of these things and nothing's happening? You don't see the productivity. There's nothing happening, nothing producing. And we want to dig in tonight and talk about, some of the things that we can do, because one of the things that I want you to understand is just because it's not producing doesn't mean, again, like I said, that is necessarily something that you've done. It could be disobedience. It could be procrastination. It could be fear. But it could also be that it's just not God's time, or maybe it could be that it's just not what God wants for you. And that's why you have to be sure. Because nobody wants to see unproductive things. They want to see productivity. And that leads me into my verb for this week. Yes, y'all know me. I'm going to always choose a verb, and I'm going to deal with the tense of that verb both transitively and intransitively. Intransitively, my word is produce. Intransitively, it means to bear or to make. Transitively, it means to give birth or to rise. Another word, to yield. And when we look at that word yield, it means to bring forth a product. Now, we want to bear fruit. We want to give birth. Some of us have been carrying these spiritual babies and these businesses and these organizations and these things for years and years and years, and we want to bear fruit. We want to give birth to this thing. I don't know if anybody's ever been, I remember a friend of mine was pregnant. She was late. Oh my God. She said that was the most miserable thing that she has ever had to deal with. She said, girl, you don't understand. There's nothing like a late baby. When you carry that baby and when you know that it's time for that baby to come and the baby just won't move. And she said, and I carried this baby so long and I am ready to give birth. I am ready to produce. I am ready to really, she was like, to get my body back. However, when we look at this word produce, and we look at the fact that one of the words that it dealt with in the transitive tense was to yield, meaning to bring forth a product. You can't yield until you yield, because there is another meaning of that word, which means to submit.
Wow.
In order to yield, in order to bring forth a product, you have to submit. And I can almost guarantee you, and I know this has been so true for me, where I have taken prophecy and visions and dreams, and I have tried to put them and mesh them into what I think how I think they ought to come through, and how I think God should do it, and how I think, it ain't about what you think. It's about what God says and what his will is for your life. To yield, you have to yield. So we're going to dig right in. I'm going to pull open our PowerPoint presentation. I'm excited to go into this tonight because, I too, let me tell you, and I tell you this, they tell you guys this all the time. We don't share our points. We simply send them. And I saw these points. I saw the email. The email came through to me, like 2 days ago, Annette?
Yeah.
She sent the email. She sent me her email 2 days ago. I just pulled this stuff into my PowerPoint, like literally about maybe an hour ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I mean, we don't. When I say we don't see each other's stuff, and we don't deal with, we don't deal with it beforehand. We come straight on and we start our discussion because we understand that in order for, this is just the way that God moved through the movement. It's just the way he moved through the movement. Now, we used to be on the phone for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours trying to figure out. You remember we used to do that and that? And your husband used to be like, why y'all on Zoom? We used to be on Zoom. We'd be on Zoom for hours. And his husband would be like, y'all been on the phone for a long time. Y'all been dealing with that for a long time. Y'all, I guess he said y'all ain't figured it out yet. But we don't see each other's stuff now. We kind of found our flow and we understood. We started to understand why we function the way we function. This is the way we function. So we're going to dive right into our conversation tonight. And feel free to join in, feel free to raise your hand, feel free to talk. You know, we don't hear from y'all a lot, but we want to hear from you because this day and age is a very uncomfortable place that we're in because a lot of us are forced into a place of really facing who we are. You ain't got nobody home but you, the kids home, everybody home. And some of us who live alone, you know, I don't live alone, I have my sister with me, but some people who live alone, boy, it's mighty quiet. And you got to look in the mirror. You got to deal with you. You got to deal with your own stuff. And like, wow, have I really gotten all out of me that God put in me? Is, you know, am I really being productive with all the gifts and talents that I have? Am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Or am I barking up the wrong tree and constantly beating a dead horse? Because you want to see productivity, but you're not yielding. So now let's yield. Let's go into the place where we yield. We want to make great things happen. My first point that I'm going to deal with is, how did I get that there? I don't know how I didn't check my PowerPoint before I did it. Be proactive and not reactive. Be proactive and not reactive. Now, one of the things I want you to understand when we talk about a lot of times we'll, you know, how many people here, somebody can just push your buttons. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have a friend who I know it doesn't take much. When I say short fused, oh my goodness. I used to say so often, you'd rather that she hit you than tell you off. And it may be some of y'all. If it's some of y'all that's like that, have you ever felt that way where all it would take is for somebody to just push your button? They mess around and push a button and it's a done deal. Mm-hmm. If that's you, I want you to type in and be honest. That's me. All they got to do is push my button. They push my button, it's on and popping. And that, you know, I have a friend who that is definitely her. You mess around and push her button if you want to, then you in for a rude awakening. Okay, I wanted to fix that real quick before I go back to the PowerPoint presentation. So we have to learn to be proactive and not reactive. Don't be so quick. There's a scripture that says, be slow to speak, because a lot of times we'll get angry and we're dealing with our own issues. We become angry because we become bitter. Bitterness has set in. We're bitter because things have not happened. We haven't seen the magic. So things have not happened in our life the way we thought they were supposed to happen yet. So we become bitter. And therefore, when we've gotten bitter, instead of being proactive and moving forward and making things happen, we've become reactive to all of the issues that we have in our lives. And what we have to do is make a decision. When you make that decision, you know what? I'm going to do what I need to do to make things happen in my life. So I'm deciding to weed out the foolishness. Don't get so frustrated that you are at the point that anything and everything can strike your fuse, can light your fuse. You want to, you know, I told somebody this one time, I don't think you have a pastoral spirit because you can't tell everybody off at the drop of a hat. You won't have no members. Who gonna stay somewhere where you that short fused? So what we have to do is learn to weed out the foolishness. We have to weed out the foolishness. You have to go outside and weed your garden. Just like you go outside and weed your garden, you have to weed the garden of your surroundings, of your mind, of your thoughts, of the company that you keep. If it's not meaningful, change it. Weeding is a way of keeping busy too until you cool down, because there's a whole lot of stuff in the weeds that will keep you proactive. It'll keep you moving. It'll keep you going. If once you start weeding out the mess, then you'll realize just how much foolishness was up in your situation in the first place. You'll be like, wow, this is why. We're talking about that's me to the 10th power. I can't tell everybody else. When you start weeding folk out and weeding people out and weeding situations out, you'll realize how much foolishness you have been allowing to stay in that beautiful garden. And there's no wonder that it didn't produce. It couldn't be proactive because everything in your garden was so busy reacting to the weeds that was choking the life out of it. And I can guarantee you that there are a lot of things that are in your organization, in your situation, in your business, in your life, that's literally choking the life and even growing taller than you and blocking the sun. And the roots are reaching down and taking up your water. We have to be mindful. You have to be mindful. You have to be mindful, like, why are these people here? Who's
Yeah.
in my situation that's not supposed to be? Who's in my life that's not supposed to be? Who's working for me that I really needed to fire 10 years ago?
Ooh, come on.
Why do I have somebody over my money who always speak in defeat? Why do I have somebody as a secretary who I got to go and pry up out of bed to do some work for me? Have you ever really taken that kind of inventory? That's what weeding out is. Because when you start to weed out, you get rid of the foolishness. And therefore, and this is how you're being proactive. You're calming down from the foolishness, you're weeding it out, and you're tossing it away. Second thing is, you got to set goals. Goals are meant to improve you. They allow you to focus on becoming the person that you can be, and that the person that you can, and change to the person that you need to be, and make changes where they need to be made. And if you don't set goals, if you don't sit down and write stuff down, I'm telling you, the Bible is plain. If you don't write the vision, if you don't sit down and write things out, if you don't sit down and come up with a plan, there's a saying that if you fail to plan, plan to fail. Because if you don't have a plan, why is anybody following you?
Oh, that's right.
Where are they following you to? I had a friend who she incorporated a business. I said, well, what does the business do? All she had was the name. She said, well, I don't know yet. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? I mean, I ain't put it together yet. I just wanted to make sure I got the name. I'm like, girl, you worried about the wrong stuff. You got to have something to do. What sense did it make to incorporate when you don't know what the business does? So you have to set goals, and you have to come up with guidelines, and you have to put your ducks in a row and put information down, because that is what being proactive is meant for, to set things up. You want to make great things happen. But if something were to come your way right now in the area of business that you're supposed to be functioning in, can you honestly say to yourself that you will be ready? Can you honestly say, you know what? I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. Or would it catch you off guard? Because if you're not ready, then you have not set goals. You have not put things in place. Because, a lot of us want to see great things happen, but we haven't done the work. We haven't done the preliminary things yet. We want the husband to come, but we, like, Lord, send me a husband. Lord, I know you're going to do it. I believe you, God. I believe you're going to send it to me. But have you actually put yourself in position? Because, boy, you can't be looking like a mud duck and want somebody to come and settle down. As for me, I ain't looking. I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I don't want foolishness. So at the end of the day, we have to set goals. The next thing I want you to understand that we need to do, we're talking about being proactive. We need to focus on the roots and not the fruit.
Oh, that's it, Nita. That's it. Oh, man.
Focus on the roots and not the fruit. We want to see the fruit to bear, but in order for there to be fruit, the roots have to be grounded. The roots have to be healthy. I'm planting a garden right now, and I looked at my beets, and I'm like, I think I'm going to have to sprout them beets again, because the beets are not looking too great. The collard greens and the mustard greens, everything like that is looking awesome. But the beets are not looking great. Ooh, you killing me. I'm going to tell my mic drop. The beets are not looking so great. And usually it's an indication that the roots are suffering. The roots need room to grow. They need moisture. It's in a cool, dark place that a seed takes root. And when you get to the point that you're actually allowing your roots to grow, you got to close off from the foolishness. Remember, it's a cool, dark place. It's a place of obscurity. And sometimes God will take us from where we are and move us into a place that we have to be separated from everything and everybody in order to grow. That's the only way that your roots are going to spread. Your roots have to go deeper. Hey, is that Kim? Your roots have to go deeper. Oh, welcome. It's the first time. The roots have to go deeper. And in order for you to grow, in order for you to produce fruit, I want to be fruitful. If you want to be fruitful, don't you want your roots to grow? You need healthy roots, woo woo. Let the roots grow. My next thing I want to say is that we have to, let me tell you something. This is probably one of the most important things because we want to see things happen, but we don't do it. Take initiative to solve the problems. Take initiative. It's your situation. It's your business. It's your life. Nothing's going to happen if you sit down all day. I was talking to a friend of mine. He was like, I don't get it. He said, I can't function in this quarantine. I don't know what to do. I'm like, what? You ain't got nothing but time. Man, do you know how many business proposals and how many programs and how many things I've been putting together? And sometimes I have to make myself go to bed because I'm up all night. I'm in the middle of releasing a whole project on one of my artists. We released actually one of the songs come out tonight. And I'm like, I've been doing that for like 4 different artists. And somebody said, like, but Anita, you used to having like a gazillion jobs. I like productivity. I like to take the initiative to solve the problems. When I see something that needs to be done in every area, I put together my revenue wheel. There are 7 areas that Anita Faye Wilson Inc. makes money. And in every area, I have to be productive. And I can't wait till we do Wings Like Eagles. We have a class where we're going to be teaching this in our master class, where we're teaching you how to put those things together so that you can get the most out of your life. We say we want to help you. What is the word, Net? We want to help you what? Thrust into your purpose.
I like
the word. We want to help you thrust into your purpose so that you could live the best version of yourself and what? Win. We want to see you win. But you have to take the initiative to solve the problems in every area. That is what being proactive and not reactive is. Don't react to an issue after it's already happened. Be proactive before you even come up on a problem. Be proactive, not reactive. Now I want to sit back because I looked at Annette's points and I was like, child, I'm going to sit back for the next few minutes and I'm going to listen to what she got to say. Because some of them I was like, wow, boy, that'll preach right there. That'll make a song right there.
All right. It takes one person to change your life, and that's you. And you actually is this. It's a year of unexpected blessing. It's a year of unstoppable. So you, YOU, is your year to be unstoppable, year of expectancy. My question is really, what are you expecting? You know, I know we have a topic tonight, but what are you really expecting God to do? What are you have decided in your mind and your dreams and your visions? You know, how are you going to make great things happen? And this is the year of unstoppable, the year of unexpectancy. So it takes one person to change your life, and that's you. So just know this is your year. Yeah, I know we're quarantined, but this is your year. This is your year to, like Anita was saying, to really work on some things. Because we always want to move, and that's the problem. We move too much, and we don't sit down, and we don't take the time and to do things. And now we're forced to do it. And so now this is the time to prepare, because will be a season that comes that you won't have time to prepare. And like she said earlier, are you ready? Even if that dream, that big move that you've been waiting for, somebody knock on your door and say, you know, I heard you do this, ABC, could you do it? Would you be ready? So this is the year of expectancy, the year of unstoppability. I know it's not a word, but that's all right. I just made up one. My first thing is dreams are free action costs. You can dream all day. It don't take anything to dream. It don't take anything to sit around and just think about, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But the actions cost. It costs you. It means late nights. It means early morning. It means being misunderstood sometime. It means being overwhelmed. See, the thing is this, for people who hunt, and I know when I was growing up, my stepfather would hunt, you know, and I thought about that and say, everybody want to eat, but there are a few that are willing to hunt. Everybody want to do something. They want to have this great vision, this great dream, and but they don't want to work. They don't want to do what it takes. True. Yeah, so in order to do and get to where you need to be, it takes work. So you got to work to see it work. So you got to work to see it work, because if you don't ever work, you won't ever see anything. So understand that dreams are free. It costs you nothing. It really don't. It costs you really nothing but time to sit down and write your dream and write your vision and make it plain, and use all those scriptures and sound all deep. But when it comes to taking that dream off, what happens when you got to walk that dream out? See, we talk a good talk, but when it's time to walk, see, talking, you could just sit down, but walking means you got to move. So just know that dreams are wonderful. That's how it starts. It starts with a dream. It starts with a seed. But once that seed grow, it's like being pregnant. What's beautiful, you have, be all cute. Some of us, some not everybody be cute when they're pregnant, but that's okay. And we're carrying something, and it don't cost nothing really, because when you eat, the baby eat. When everything you do, the baby.
That is so true. But then think about it too. Like when we talk, you're saying dreams are free. Think about how much free stuff we have like given away. How much free stuff, how many free things and free, like businesses that we have just sat on and not moved on. And even going into it is free, because we started off free.
Free.
We didn't spend any money for the first year in the movement.
No. Yeah, because see, and the thing about dreams, they're free, but we want stuff to stay free, and that's just not the way it's going to be.
It's not.
It's not going to stay free. If it stay free, then you haven't done anything. There's no action behind it. Everything we do is action. We study. I don't just get up and say, "Oh, that's a good point. Oh, this is a good point." I try really hard when I know we're coming on Wednesdays, because we're really trying to pour into people's life. We for real want you to get in the winning circle. We for real want you to get to the next level. So what we do, we try to prepare to make sure that we offer something. If it's only one little nugget, because every Wednesday there's at least one nugget I can take away. You may not remember everything we say, but we try to make sure there's at least a nugget that you will remember. And so that's what we do. But then also you have to maintain laser-like focus. All your belief, your thoughts, your feelings, and action are fully aligned to your goal. Let me say that again. All your belief, thoughts, feelings, and actions are fully aligned with your goal. Laser, if you really know anything about a laser, it's a light. And a laser, sometimes it's a small light, and you can put it on one thing. But what it does, it lights it up. So you have to learn how to focus. And sometimes you only can focus on that one thing, but make sure whatever you focus on, that it aligns with everything that you believe, your thoughts and your feeling and your action. Make sure that it's important to know that I'm gonna keep my eye on the prize. And that prize is that vision, that dream, that organization, that thing that God have called you to do, or that thing that you believe you've been called to do, even for the foundation of the world. And I believe in the ABC process is become aware. When you go, when you're going through some stuff with your organization, you got to become aware. And sometimes it can be daunting. It could be almost overwhelming. So you have to learn how to breathe. But then you have to remember also to choose. You say, you know what? It's difficult, but I choose to continue to do what I've been called to do. And that's my ABC process. I had to be aware. I had to learn how to breathe, because let me tell you something. Even when you know you've been called to do something, every now and then you have to remind yourself that you've been called to do it. Because everything don't always line up. They just don't. And I have to remind myself, I've been called to do this. I've been called, I think I can, I can't think I can. I'm like that train, but I know that I've been called to do it. So every now and then I step away from what I've been called to do, and I just take a deep breath, and I'm coming back, because I choose to go forward. I choose to build my dream. I choose to inspire people. I choose to write my quotes and my sayings, because I feel, because just like they blessed me, that my prayer is that they'll bless other people. So maintain laser-like focus. But also you got to open your mind and not your mouth. The problem, ladies, and we spend so much time opening our mouth and not our mind. If you sit down, and that's why, with this COVID-19, it's a bad thing, because we've lost a lot of people to death. But it's a good thing in the sense that now you can open your mind. Honestly, again, I have thought about stuff I haven't thought about in years. I'm sitting there, because sometimes I don't have nobody to talk to. And I had to understand, if it's I said, I'm not the only one. You know how sometimes you think you're the only one. You're the only one went through some heartaches. You're the only one been disappointed. You're the only one dreams didn't make it. But you know, sometimes when you really sit back and relax your mouth, because your mouth runs 20 miles a minute. I bet you I bet our mouth is glad when we go to sleep because we keep it moving all the time. So we have to make sure that we open our mouth and close our mouth, open our mind, because what it does when you open your mind and you clear your mind, it gives you innovative ideas. You may have an idea, but once you clear your mind, God can give you what you need to get there. Because it's one thing to have an idea, a dream, or a vision, but it's another thing to get there. So, you know, when I'm in my quiet time, and I've had a lot of quiet time here, nobody but me and my dog, you know, I've matured in the fact that I'm focusing more on my dream. I've never given up on it, but sometimes I get tired because
Right.
I say, you know what, I'm writing all these quotes. Ain't nobody reading them quotes. I'm writing all them saying, nobody doing that. I ain't nobody paying me no attention, you know. But I had to understand it's not about how many likes I get. It's about making sure that He likes me, that God likes me, making sure that I'm lining up to what He called me to do. Because we look for likes, and nothing's wrong with that. But it's one thing to get liked for man, but God is not behind that. He's not liking what you're doing. So I've opened my mind, and I try so hard to focus on things that's really important, because of life, we neglect things, Nita. So now we got time. Like we got time to do it. And problem with people, because we are a busy society, it's driving people insane. To me, sit still. And that's why you walk around talking about open up the city, but you got a mask on. Boy, have several seats. Because if it's all like that, you don't need that mask. You ready? Going out there. You going out there. So, you know, you got to open up your mind, close your mouth, and let God talk. Let me say this about this, and I'm going to move on. Even in your prayer time, a lot of times we pray, and we'll pray, we get on our knees, and we carry on, you know, we speak in several languages, you know, and all, whatever you do when you pray. But
Uh-huh.
the problem is we never shut our mouth to listen. Because God probably be saying, if she be quiet, I give her an answer. You know, but we constantly talking. So if you learn how to be quiet in your quiet time, I promise you, God has a way of just coming and speaking. If you have a relationship, you know Him. You know, it's nothing spooky and all that, but it's just that relationship you established with Him, and you'll know. And finally, who are you really? Who are you? Have you ever thought about that? I'm not talking about I'm somebody's sister or somebody's mother. I'm not talking about the fact I'm Jeanette's daughter, Yolanda Shana Elena's mother. I'm not talking about I'm the grandmother of my 5, 6, 7 grandkids. But who am I? You know, who am I? I was thinking about that, and I really I started to think. I said, well, huh, I I'm I, that's what I did. Just like I didn't know who I was.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it, but I couldn't articulate it. But then I had to understand I am a part of the royal priesthood. I'm who He made me. I'm He called me from the beginning of the world, and He said, "This is who I call you to be." So I identify myself as being, you know, a woman that has been set for this time to do a work, and that work is through God. That's who I am. I'm a lot of other things, but I have been chosen by God to be a part of the movement and to be a part of other organizations. I've been chosen to inspire people. I've been chosen to speak in people's life. I've been chosen to pray with people. So, you know, a lot of times we have to make sure we identify ourselves and try to figure out who we are, not what we do, because you can do a lot of things, but who we are. And so when I thought about that, and that was a question that I want y'all even to think about and come back on next Wednesday and really give us because we want to really open up the mic on this one and give
Mm-hmm.
everybody the opportunity to say who are you? Who are you?
And you know,
And you know,
that's a strange place to be though, Annette. Like when you're faced with that question and you've lived your whole life, especially, you know, like it wasn't until I turned 50 that I realized, you know, that of course we talk about this all the time, how the prototype of your life changes, how it doesn't mean that the things that you've done before a certain age you weren't supposed to do, because each day is designed to
yeah,
make you face the next. And when you've tapped out of one other level and you're going to a whole new dimension and you're in a paradigm shift for your life, the prototype changes. You don't act the same, you don't do the same things, although a lot of you is going into that new prototype, but it's on a different level. But I was faced with that question at 50. Like, what do you mean? Who am I? I know, wait a minute, do I know who I am? What? That's a hard place to be because I had to totally reinvent who I was. Well, in my case, I looked at it as reinvention because I was doing things that I didn't do before. I was a person that I've never been before. That's because the prototype changed.
That's
right. And then
right.
I had to figure out who I was. Like, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to do. And all of this has to go to a whole nother level. I can't function the way I used to.
That is true, because you are so true. Because there are people who make it happen, there are people who watch it happen, and then there are people who says what happened. Let me say that again. There are people who make it happen, and there are people who watch what happened. Then you have those who say what just happened. So I want to be one of those people who make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be just one to watch it happen, and I definitely don't want to be one of the ones that say what just happened. Because when you get to the point when you at the point where you say what just happened, that means you done missed out. And you are right. We go through different phases in our life, and at different phases, we have to identify who we are all over again. Because who I was at 30 is not who I am at 50. And who I am at 50 is not who I am was at 50 is not who I am at 60, soon to be 61 next month. So those are the things that we go through because we want to make great things happen. In order to make great things happen, we have to sometimes step away from things and look at ourselves, because when great things happen, it includes you. So you have to get in line and to figure out who you are, because I'm nothing like I was 5 years ago. Oh my God. Because if you'd have asked me who I was 5 years ago, you would have got a totally different answer. Totally. And so we like she said, we evolve. It's not a one, we're not one way. But the thing is, we never find out who we were regardless of where we are in life. We just live our life. We don't try to identify who we are. And that's not being all deep, but every now and then you just have to step aside and look at yourself, because I'm thinking like, one day I won't be here. Will I leave a legacy for my children? Am I doing to change somebody's life? Am I imparting into somebody? God didn't just put me here just to be here. We all have a purpose. And the thing is, I guess, Anita, what I'm really saying is we want to learn how to walk in our purpose regardless of what phase of life you're in. If you're a baby, then crawl. If you're a toddler, then well, then you can walk. But if you're an adult, maybe you can even run. So there's different phases. That's is so important. So it takes one person to change your life, and that's you. And so that's why I focus on individual. You can go ahead and say yes to it. So yeah. So that's why I deal with that. And they should say yes to the dress. Now everybody know that show that comes on TV and talk about yes to the dress. And the bride coming in, she's so happy because she's getting married to the love of her life, hopefully. And so she's looking for a dress, and she's excited about a change, because because that's a change. She's transitioning to another place, because when you're married, it's more than about a dress. It's more than how beautiful your hair is and your makeup is tight and your shoes are right. It's you actually going to a whole nother dimension in your life. Your life changes, especially if you've been single a while and you're trying to have to deal with somebody else. Because see, I'm very headstrong, and I have my own thought, and I have to remind myself that it's just not me, that I have a husband, so I have to be aware of that at all times. But today, I don't want to talk about that so much, but I want to talk about the dress. Dress means to decorate, to arrange, to garnish is a cover. So in order to make great things happen, there's a process. There's a process that we have to go through. And one of the first things that I want to talk about tonight is the designer of your destiny. You got to choose where you got to choose where you're heading, and you got to choose where you're heading. We so often just live our life willy-nilly. We don't know where we're going. We just get on, oh, what I'm gonna do today, la la dee da. No, you got to learn how to design your destiny. I'm trying to get somewhere, and I can't get there just willy-nilly and not even having a thought of just get up in the morning, oh, what I'm gonna do today. No, I'm not saying every day have to be so structured, but I'm saying in order to get to your destiny, you have to design it in such a way. You have to choose where you're headed, and you gotta create a plan, and you have to implement it, and you got to commit to follow through on your dream. So what you're doing, you're designing, you coming up with a plan. you know this is what I think I've been called to do. I know I've been called to do, like Anita said earlier about her friend. She came up with this name, but no substance, no program. Name sound good, but there's nothing there. Because when I came up with gifts years ago, it sounded good. A Girls Inspired for Total Success. I said, oh, that'll work. But then I had no real substance until I really started to create a plan and implement it, and to follow through on what I felt like this program should be. And so, beautiful name, but no substance. So don't if you have a destiny, you need to have substance. You have to design that thing in such a way, because what happens with your destiny, your dreams, whatever you've been called to do, it's like I said earlier, it's to bless somebody else. So you want to make sure you got, line up in such a way that you will be a blessing. Because we want, even long after we're gone, we want maybe somebody can look at these videos 5, 10, 15 years from now, and say, wow, that was a blessing. Because even now I look at TD Jason, some of that stuff when he was really skinny, that's been a minute, and he had a little hair. And even some of those old preachers blessed me, but it's designed in such a way that it'll be here long after you're gone. So just make sure that you design your destiny, because your destiny is so important. There's so many people need what you have. And now, after we get back to some kind of normalcy, as they like to say, you're going to have to learn how to be able to deal with people, because everybody's not going to be able to understand your God or your thought or your dream. None of that. So you have to make sure you're designed in such a way that you can go in any arena and you can sell yourself, and you can sell your product, you can sell your God, whatever you're selling, because you've designed your destiny in such a way that you'll be able to walk in any area. But also, you got to fashion yourself to be remembered. You have to fashion yourself to be remembered. Equip, prepare, customize, tailor-made. See, when we came with the movement, we had to equip ourselves and prepare. And see, we had to customize the movement in such a way that it'll be remembered. Because one thing about the movement, the logo, when you look at it, it's obvious. It's obvious. You may not understand what we do, but it got something to do with the world and something to do with movement. So you have to make sure you customize and tailor-make whatever your dream or your vision, even yourself. If you're selling yourself, if you've been called to really motivate or mentor people, you have to make sure that there's something about you that's different. You got to promote yourself. You got to be what, Anita, like, there are so many trends out there. See, I don't want to be a follower of a trend. I want to start a trend.
Either. You know what? And the thing is, it's easy to get caught up into the trend.
Yes.
Especially because when I first stepped into this realm, of course, there's only like so many people that have been extremely successful as it relates to being transformational coaches, motivational speakers, etc. And it seems to be such a saturated market, but it's so saturated to the point that you have to learn. You have to, first of all, when you hear the voice of God, you have to dare to be different from anything that is of a prototype. That is of a man-made prototype, because your prototype is made by God. And therefore there is no trend, because he doesn't make the same thing twice.
No, it don't. That's why I have here, you have to choose a pattern or a habit that will help you. You have to choose your own pattern. I know I don't sew, but my sister-in-law used to sew, and I used to see how she would take body's pattern and cut them out. Now, all the patterns, it was the same pattern, right? But she was able to cut the pattern to suit where she was going. And so you have to take that pattern. We know it's saturated. We know there's a lot of people out there, but that's all right. It's a pattern out there, but we have to take that pattern and then we cut that pattern out to make sure that we're able to make the right outfit to fit us.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important to fashion yourself to be remembered, because it's a lot going on. But you got to be so innovative, and you got to be so different, and you got to walk in your anointing, because actually, to be honest, your anointing will make you different. It's just when, we try so hard, try to fit in. But I'm learning something. I've never been able to fit in. I used to try to fit in. I never fit in. When I was growing up in school, I didn't fit in because I was the skinniest thing, you know, and I was in school. And so when I became pregnant, I was 14, I didn't fit in because here I am, back in those days, I'm in 60. In those days, you didn't go to school. And those days, you ostracized. So, I didn't fit in there. And then when I got married, I was about 16. I didn't fit in nowhere because now I'm married and I don't have no friends. I had my baby, and on and on and on. So I've never actually fit in into, I was always a maybe round and maybe somebody was trying to put me in a square. I never fit in. You could, you can kind of jab me in there, but I still didn't fit. And so, and that's even how it is now. Whatever you've been called to do, you don't have to do it the way they did it. You can learn, like Anita said, it'd be a prototype, but you don't have to do it. So fashion yourself to be remembered. And also, life is not a dress rehearsal. You know, a dress rehearsal is where you, right before the play, they do a little dress rehearsal to make sure everything's okay. Make sure you know all your part. But life is not a dress rehearsal. What you're living now is what it is. So you have to take your life and you have to make sure that you don't squander your talents, but learn how to maximize your moment. You have to learn how to control your fears and act in boldness and stop spending time complaining and find reason to be grateful. So we have to know that this is it. What you're living now every day. Every day is so important. That you dress according to where you're going. And I don't mean clothes. I mean dress your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Dress your business. Dress the things that you've been called to do. Take the time. Make sure you put on the right shoes and put on the right pants or whatever you're going in that business, because only you can do that. That's why with the movement, me and Anita is able to really be on the same page, even when we don't talk, because we don't talk that. We're on the same page because we understand where we're going. We spent a lot of time talking about this. In fact, next year will be 2 years that we've been doing this. I'm sorry, next month will be 2 years. So we understand now. Back in the day, oh my, I'd be like, what we gonna talk about, Anita? What we gonna talk about? What we gonna talk about? But now, we understand where we're going, and we're heading there. So we trust each other enough to say, you do what you do, I'm gonna do what I do, and it'll come together. And it always come together. In fact, sometimes we be using the same stuff. I be swearing, if she wasn't down south, I swear she was peeping on some of my notes. But that's how, because we understand that this is not a dress rehearsal. We understand that this is life, and we're moving, and the movement is moving. We're going to the next place in our life. I don't care what going on with the COVID-19, has nothing to do with our calling, has nothing to do with our anointing. We have to take this time and prepare. Hitting the road, we're gonna be flying. If we have to fly with a mask, I'm okay with that. I can fly with a mask. I ain't got no problem with that. But it's time to go and move, because life is not just rehearsal. And finally, close with the proper garment. In Isaiah 61:10, the Bible says, I will greatly rejoice in the Lord. My soul shall be joyful in God, for he hath clothed me with the garment of salvation. He hath covered me with the robe of righteousness. So we have to learn how to be clothed with the right garment. If you're going to get where you need to be in God, you got to be clothed with the right garment. If you're getting ready to deal with people, because we're going to deal with people with some issues. We're going to deal with some people don't know what to do. We have some people right now, those jobs that they love, those jobs they cherish, some of those jobs are gone forever. So we're going to have to look, Anita, because we're public speakers, we're going to have to learn how to deal with them, be clothed with that. We have to be with the garment of salvation. We got to be covered with the robe of righteousness. And so if you're going to do with the things that you've been called to do, you have to be righteous. Righteousness simply means right standing. So you got to be righteous, right standing with people, right standing with your fellow people, whatever, right standing with whatever organization, whoever you deal with, you have to be righteous. So clothe yourself with the proper garments, because you're going somewhere. Just say yes to the dress.
Yes. And you know what? I like to look at this thing sometimes in that like being a doctor. One of the things, and I used to tease my mom about this. My mom was so funny. Rest her soul. She was. we used to tease all the time. Me and my sister still talk about it, about how my mom used to tell her doctor what to do. I think there comes a certain point in time when the elderly need to switch doctors and get somebody younger, because when the doctor is their age, and my mom actually outlived her doctor, but I promise you, she used to tell this doctor what to do. And she would come back and tell us, well, the doctor say, and then, or she would say, well, I told Dr. Lucas. I'm like, well, how's that possible? Well, he's the doctor. Isn't he supposed to tell you what to do? And she would say, I told Dr. Lucas I'm not taking them water pills. You know, it's like, I don't want to take it when I go to church because I want to be getting up and going to the bathroom. And so those are the kinds of things that she would say, and it would just make me chuckle. But the thing to understand, even though the doctor, you know, of course, please don't take this and say, "Ooh, need to say don't go to the doctor." I believe in the doctor's medicine. I do. Of course, because of Eat Well, Live Well, Be Well in the life that I'm living now, 145 pounds down and counting, I go to natural remedies first. Praise God. So I'll go to the natural remedies first. However, even doctors and even a holistic doctor that I deal with, we're all practicing what we do. It's a practice. And if you don't put the work in every day to practice your craft, then you will never improve, and you won't keep up with the trends. You won't know what's coming new with the things that you do. Even that my kids tell me all the time, "Oh, Miss Anita, you're more hip than my mom and my dad." And it's like, you're their age, and I can talk to you, and I feel comfortable. And how is it that you know all the dances? How you work all the apps better than me, and you teach me how to use them? It's a part of my job to be up on everything, socially, social media, all of it. Just like with this. There's somebody on here today who, oh no, she's not on here tonight. She said her boss came to her and said, well, you know, there's this new thing called Zoom that came out for COVID-19. She was like, oh no, that's not new. That's not out for COVID-19. Because Anita Wilson been using that for 2 years to do her segment called Can We Talk with her organization called M.O.V.E.M.E.N.T. And he was like, yeah, really? It's not new? No, it's not new. And there are a lot of people, I taught teachers and pastors and stuff how to use the same thing, but you have to practice your craft. You have to practice what you do. And so that's my next slide is practice makes perfect. That's what I'm saying, practice makes perfect. So of course, we are not perfect beings, but in order to get closer to perfection, you have got to practice your craft. And the way that you will make sure that that happens is that, number one, that you be disciplined. Discipline is key. When you discipline yourself to do what you're supposed to do, discipline means being able to control your life by having a sense of priorities. You have to prioritize those things that are important versus the things that are not, by putting first things first. Your priorities govern your thoughts and your actions. When your priorities, you ever heard somebody say the saying, your priorities are jacked up, or your priorities are in the wrong place? You have to prioritize those things that are important. When I sit down every day, I actually have to go through my list of things that I have to do with, you know, they would tell me, oh, you got a gazillion jobs. Yes, I might have a gazillion jobs. But every day I have to sit down and go through my gazillion jobs so that I can figure out what I have to do when. And I have to make a list. Since I'm talking to y'all right now, and Katie know I talk about her all the time. Katie's texting me right now, asking me for something that she know I can't give her. I said, Katie, where am I right now? Oh, I'm sorry, you're streaming. Exactly. And that takes priority over everything right now. And did I mute you or did you mute yourself? She must have muted herself. And that takes priority over everything else that I do. My priorities are that I have to deal with Movement Worldwide on Wednesday. I took clients earlier today, and I had a few clients trying to move their appointments, but I had to prioritize what I was going to put where, because I have to put my PowerPoint presentation together. I have to make sure that all of my points line up. I have to make sure that we have our outline. I have to send it to my partner, and I have to make sure that I log on. I have to make sure I put on a little makeup, and my hair was in 4 little twists because I've been needing to wash it. So I had to go upstairs and put my hair straight. I have to prioritize. I know what I have to do it. And I'm not gonna call her name because every time I call her name, she starts talking. But my little round thing that sits on my table starts to tell me, you should be at your desk now. You should be getting dolled up and ready for the movement worldwide. And so I have all of my reminders in place because I'm disciplined. And I have to discipline myself. And trust me, it is not easy. I'm not telling you something that is very easy to do all the time. For people who own their own businesses, you understand what I mean. If you don't do it, the job doesn't get done. You have to be the one to show up. You have to be the one to engage. Remember, that's one of our sayings. Because when you show up and when you engage, then and only then will you win at what you're working towards. So you have to be disciplined. The next thing you have to do is you have to determine your day. You're the boss. Even though, and I'm not even talking about on your, but I work for somebody. I don't, I'm not the boss on my job. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about making sure that your day matters. You have to practice good habits daily. You have to be the one to say, I'm going to be successful. You have to be the one to talk to yourself. We used to talk about that so much in the beginning about making sure that you affirm. Nobody on here has any excuse as to why you don't affirm yourself. All it takes is for you to open up your mouth and say, you know what? Today is going to be a good day. I'm going to get the most out of my day today. I'm going to get all out of me that God put in me. You have to be disciplined. You have to say, today is going to be productive. I'm going to be effective. I'm going to listen when I need to listen. I'm going to be quiet when I need to be quiet. I'm going to make sure that I put my good face forward. I'm going to smile. I'm going to be kind to people. I'm not going to cut anybody off in traffic. And I'm not going to flip them one when they cut me off. That's the only way that you're going to see desirable results in anything that you do. Practice makes perfect. Determine your day from the first part of your day. When you get up in the morning, if you practice affirming from that point, instead of waiting halfway through the day and somebody tick you off, or you get tired or frustrated, oh Lord, and then you want to sit at your desk and pray then, or you want to go to the bathroom and no, start off that day determining this is going to be a great day. I am not going to be defeated today. I am not going to let anything get the best of my day today. My time will be productive. I will be happy today and every day. Nothing is going to steal my joy. So you have to determine your day. The next thing, and what happens when you determine your day, you develop the right habits. You develop the right habits. You begin to replace those old habits with good habits and new habits. And the more you do something, the longer you do it, you will then start to create a whole new habit. I tell people that all the time. When they do our 16-day ultimate detox plan, and I have quite a few people who have done it, hey, they started hitting me up. How are you doing it? What are you doing? Did you have surgery? Surgery was not an option for me because I knew I would never be lazy. And I had to discipline myself, and I had to study to figure out why things weren't happening for me. So it was never an option for me. But when I started studying and I figured it out, I put it into practice. Practice makes perfect. And then when I put that into practice, guess what? I saw results. And then the more I did it, it became a habit. So I developed the right habits. So now I tell people, when you go on the 16-day ultimate detox plan, when you do that 16-day vegan detox, by the time you get to the end and you have to refeed after the fasting period, you're going into 21 days, and it takes 21 days of consistency and persistence to create a habit. And with that practice under your belt, you'll begin to do new things. You'll begin to become a whole new person. And that is what happens. Now, it doesn't mean you can't fall back into your old habits. And when you do that, you just pick up the pieces, because we know that failure is just an event. It's just an event that's just getting you to the next place. It's not something that's final. It's not final. So you develop the right habits, and the more you develop the right habits and the more consistency there is in your life, then you will make great things happen. And with that being said, as you are developing the right habits, you have got that consistency matters. And you got to do what the old people used to say. And y'all, I want y'all to, I'm gonna sing a part of a song, and I want y'all to type in the answer. And I know y'all know it because it's a whole bunch of church people on here, but you got to put your time in. Y'all answer that. Put your time in. What's going to happen? When you put your time in, you know that song in that?
Yeah.
Put your time in. And when you put that time in, things happen. And I know some of y'all might, I don't know, we might have like one or two people who are not church people. So the answer is payday will pay coming after a while. Yeah. Payday is coming after a while. When you put the time in, you're going to see payday. You're going to see results. Things are going to happen. Life will start changing. But we have to make sure that we put all of the stuff in place. And sometimes when we actually step back and take a look at ourselves, when we actually step back and really assess, like whether or not we've done everything that we're supposed to do, whether or not we really, and I ask my artists this question all the time. They're like, no, because I've been grinding. I'm like, okay, you're giving me industry talk. But tell me something, have you really been grinding? No, I have been. You've been with me. And I'm like, I know I've been. But tell me, have you really been grinding? I know you know the industry talk. I see you, Valerie. Payday is coming after a while. I knew you knew it. Put your time in. Payday is coming after a while. But I had to ask, I'm like, you say that. You give me all of the rhetoric. You say the right stuff. But have you really, I'm going to open up the screen now. Have you really been grinding? Have you really been putting the time in? Have you really been putting your best foot forward? Have you really done everything that there is to do? Because I can answer the question for Anita, and it's absolutely not. So when something doesn't happen for me, who do I have to blame? Who do you have to blame, Annette, when things don't happen the way you want them to happen?
Me.
Exactly. You can pat yourself on the chest. Because a lot of times we want to point the finger at everybody else. And that's one of the things that happen, is that we try to fix the problem from the outside. We try to go, well, because she don't like me, and because this person got in line ahead of me, and because she opened her business before me, and she had all the money, and she had all the push, and she had all of this and of that. But I thought you said, didn't you just say last week, what God has for me is for me? So did you really mean it, or were you just going through the motions? Because what God has for that person is for that person. It doesn't mean that when they open their doors, that they're going to do the same thing that you do when you open your doors. What God has for you is for you. So stop looking at and envying what everybody else is doing and what they have and how they function, and deal with the one person who looks at you in the mirror, because we say so often, you can be your worst enemy. Sometimes you can be your biggest cheerleader, but in most cases, you're staring at your worst enemy in the mirror, and you have to go back to square one and deal with you, and then clean up your own stuff. Because when you are right, when you put things in perspective right, and when you're in the will of God, great things will happen. His word does not return void. God is not mocked. He has no respect of persons. At least when you sow, you're going to reap. That's the law. That which a man soweth shall he also reap. So what have you sown? And if it's not the right thing, if you are sowing the word of God in your spirit, and you have a prayer life, and you actually are in tune, God will tell you, it's time to let that go. It's time to move and do something different. But if you know that you're in the right place, I'm encouraging you, keep moving, keep pushing. Don't give up. Keep moving. Stay persistent. Stay consistent. Because then and only then will you make great things happen.
That's right.
And as we say so often here on Wednesday night now, it's our new thing, the doors of the church are open. And then Woo Woo comes up behind me and says, won't you come? That's something though. And that's just the truth, people. And that's what we wanted to discuss with you guys tonight. And feel free to unmute yourself with anybody who wants to say anything, or who has a question or a comment or concern. Because, the thing is, we want to see you win. I'm winning. I don't care what anybody says. I am winning. I'm seated at the winner's table, and it's my right to win. It's my birthright. We talked about that last week. It's my birthright to win. Hey, Francesca. It's my birthright. I am of a royal priesthood, chosen. You're chosen, Francesca. You're of a chosen generation. It's your birthright to win.
What's that?
What'd you say?
I say, can I say something?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, since we, I told some of my staff, some of the staff members that I work with, I say this is an unfortunate holiday for us, an unfortunate holiday. But I will say that overall, when you ladies were talking about, when you and Miss Annette were talking about discipline, it's true. because since I've been home, I mean, I go back and forth to work, but the point is, I find that when you start to prioritize yourself and start to line things up in order, it is so easy. I'm serious. It is very easy, very easy. So I just say, for me, I say this is like a learning thing for me as far as, being here, being home. And even though I'm working from home, I'm able to actually see everything now, what I was doing. Because, when you're at work and you're trying to get other things done, you can't really do what you can for yourself
Mm-hmm.
as, being at work. So now I'm home, I'm able to get things done, for myself as well as for my boss. So I say that when school is back in session, hey, I got it all together now.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the truth though, Princess. It's like we have so much time. And because even with me, I work from home, so it's no change for
Yeah,
me. It's just that I understand the weight of the pressure of what's
yeah,
going on in the world is weighing on everybody. And
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
it is weighing on me too, even though I work from home. But
yeah,
there is when you can be in a position to where ain't nothing open, so you can't go out to dinner. Well, our government getting ready to open stuff up. Bless his heart, because I can tell you we won't be going. But you can't go to the movies, can't go to the restaurant, you can't go to church, you can't do all this stuff. So all of these things that you would normally do that fill up your day outside of work,
yeah,
if you discipline yourself and put things in order and we're productive, there should be so many businesses started. There should be so many
yeah.
visions unfolded.
Yeah. It's but it's like you said, Anita, it's consistency. You have to be persistent. You have to be consistent because it's like, hey, okay, you have this in order, but you have to make sure that it stays in order. You
Exactly.
have to make sure that it stays that way because once it gets out of order, then you're out of order, and then you got to figure out a way to get all of that back in order. You know?
You better say that, Francesca. Amen. Well, we thank you for that, darling. We know you don't talk much, but we thank you for saying something tonight because you done said a mouthful. You done said a mouthful. Okay, somebody else say something. I see somebody else unmuted themselves.
Oh, Anita, this is Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, love. I finally got on your Zoom.
Yes, we're so excited
Yes,
to have you with us tonight.
and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for coming.
I think that I've listened to you guys, and some of the same things that you're saying, I've been thinking the same things, and so everybody's kind of aligning together with
Uh-huh.
these thoughts.
Uh-huh.
But I think that what this time is, it's like a hiatus. It's like everybody's being put on a hiatus to think. It's like a time for renewal. I think all things old are going to be gone. I think that everybody's going to have a new and refreshing spirit coming out of this.
You are so
Even in their businesses, even in their lifestyles, at work or with their children, because they're in there with their children. So now they're learning the children more. The children have been gone to school and the teachers have been dealing with them. Now they're knowing their kids again, people are learning their families again. But I just think that God has just put a stop and a hold on everything right now, just to, just everybody could look at everything and say how ungrateful they've been.
come on.
And now everybody's going to be more grateful. They're going to be renewed in their spirit, and everything is going to be happening. And like you said, all the businesses should be opening. People should have new ideas. I'm an idealist, so I probably have about 100 ideas.
I can't even imagine
Anyway,
what's going on in your mind.
yes. And so I think that a lot of times too, though, I heard y'all speaking about people with dreams. Dreams are magical. They're free, and they're put right before your face while you sleep. You hear them in your ear. You see them in your sleep or whatever. And those are the things that God is placing in our lives for us to do. But everybody's not an achiever. Some people are just dreamers.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people now, I think, need to connect with other people. If you don't know how to manifest your dream and you don't know how to make it happen, you need to talk to somebody that does, because that's their gift. They know how to bring your gift to fruition. But sometimes people hold on to dreams because they're being selfish about it, or maybe they don't want to share them with people. And now it's time that everybody's going to be more, I think, open and
Mm-hmm.
more open to people helping them, because right now you're going in the food lines, you're driving up, getting the food, you know, everybody's getting stuff handed to them and everybody's coming together. So I think that, you know, a lot of points that y'all made were really good. And I think I've been thinking on the same line of it, but I do think it's a season for renewal.
Exactly, Kim. That, and you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm excited. Honestly,
I'm excited
how
too.
things are going to unfold now, because all of us know, and you know, you tapped into something. We said this. I think we said it last week. Life as we knew it. I think it was Annette that said it. Life as we knew it will never be the same. We are changed.
It'll never be the same again.
We're
Never.
changed by this. God has gotten the attention of the entire globe.
It's almost like we all got rebaptized. It is. I mean, like I have, because I know, like I take my baths at night and I'm meditating and I'm praying, you know, and everything, because I know that God is trying to show us something, you know, and I just feel like everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's kind of like getting their eyes open and seeing clearly.
And it's crazy because the thing is, we were telling our listeners this a couple of weeks ago, that our topics have been done since December. And it's so crazy how every week the topic has been lining up to where we were. And all of the stuff that we're talking about is like, and we don't have the information. We just get topics. And because that's how we flow. We come up with the topic and then we do our own interpretation and bring it back together. And our topic is done. And it's crazy how they're lining up, but God knew what we didn't know.
That's
right. This was going to happen.
Exactly. It doesn't take him by surprise. And now we're here, and he's, you know, everybody has to take notice and be disciplined and obedient. And
oh my God, don't say that word. I've had to say that to Miss Fifi about 10 times. I'm like, madam, please be obedient. Stay home. She wants to go in a salon because it's a routine, you know, and I'm like, no, you need to be safe. You're elderly. You need to be careful. Oh my God. And I said the word to her. I said, it's about obedience, Mom. She's like, oh, that's deep. Oh, okay. I get you. But the first one to run out of the house to the shop, she did it. Wow. She another guy, but me, no ma'am. I'm obedient. I'm at home. I know that it's not safe, but it's a hard nut to crack with your godmother.
Oh my goodness. That's something. But you know what? They get that way. I had to deal with my sister a couple of weeks ago, and I only let her go to one store. She was
in
Krogan in the store.
Oh, Lord.
And I had her double mask with gloves.
Oh, Lord.
We allowed her to go into one store, and then I brought her home and everything else because she went to the garden. And then she was mad at me because I had to tell her that she had to ask her daughter.
She's been bragging on you, though. She's been bragging on you. She's like, "Ooh, have you seen Anita? She lost a lot of weight."
I have. God is good, honey.
She's been bragging on you. Yeah, she's been bragging on you.
That's cool. So
but I gotta keep her tame.
You are so right, Kim. And you know what? You have to continue to be the light, and you're gonna have to.
I asked God that. I'm like, let me be a beacon of light. Let me, whatever I do, let it shine. You know, because you know, I love motivating people. I love.
You are definitely that for Daytona
Beach. A mentor. Yeah.
You're definitely that for Daytona Beach. You've been that in my life personally, and I just wanted to encourage you to continue, because what you do, it helps so many people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amen. All righty. And then I'm just talking. Did you want to say anything?
Oh, no, I'm just enjoying the conversation. I think.
Wow.
That's how we are when we get around each other. We talk too much, Annette.
That's okay. All right, then, good people. Well,
all right. I'm proud of you guys. It's good. Your program is good.
Thank you, and come back and bring a friend.
I will come back. I'm going to bring Joy.
Please, yes, bring her. We would love to have like you guys as guests, because we were opening up this year and bringing on guests. We brought like one on before. We brought two. We brought two. That's right. We brought two.
I'm going to bring Joy, and I'll try to bring Caprice, and Bernard will be a great one for you. She's very knowledgeable when it comes to this COVID-19 thing.
Definitely.
Banara, she's a practitioner
I do
now.
know. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So she's
Well,
all nurse, everything nurse, so.
yeah, I'm gonna hit you up. I would love to have some people on because we do want to broaden, and we have so many great topics, and we were all
Okay.
at the point of bringing people, and then COVID hit us, and I think we got into a spin too, and then a little, but we've been,
Yeah,
Ah,
we
but
did.
we coming out on the side.
but when y'all get ready to do y'all live show, remember Corey's a filmmaker now. He's really good.
Yes, we do.
So
I do remember, and trust me, Corey is on my radar like big.
I know. He's like, oh yeah. I said Anita gonna be calling you soon.
Oh, I
You know
did
that.
already. I have already contacted Corey.
You did?
Yes, I have been in
He was
contact.
amazing with that. It's self-taught. That's why when you say dreamers,
Hmm.
Corey has done this on his own. Just
Yes, he is
straight.
self-taught.
And you should see the jobs he gets. Oh my God,
Oh,
Anita.
I pay attention. I watch everything.
It's amazing.
And I
It
have been in
is.
contact. He and I have talked. So,
Oh, y'all have? Oh,
yeah,
good,
I
good.
got some things coming, but we have to wait a little longer. I was supposed to be in the middle of it right now, but we have to wait a little longer to make it happen. But trust me,
Yeah,
he is definitely on
yeah.
the radar.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, good people. So we're gonna go on and log off now. Thank you all so much for coming. We
Y'all
are
so
happy
much.
that you stopped by. You could have gone anywhere else, but you stopped by here for our discussion,
Yes.
and we will be back again next week, same time, same place, different topic. And then you want to say anything before we log off?
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And like Anita said, please come next week and bring a friend. Bring 2 friends.
Bring 2 or 3 people. We want to see you
I'm
all
gonna
back.
try.
Yeah. Hey, we're here every week, so just bring somebody, and we're gonna keep talking. We're gonna keep talking until this thing just keeps spreading. All right, good
Okay.
people. Much
Bye.
love.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
You still recording, Nita?
I know, I'm gonna get it.
Oh yeah, you can cut it, chop it off. Yeah.